And the thing about it is that I didn't realize until my mid 30s that my experience was a form of rape. So trigger warning, I probably should have put that out there for this. I'm not going all deep into that. But what I'm going into is that that experience had an effect on me that I was not even consciously aware of. But as I got older and I was able to understand that the way I was moving was predicated on a lot of the things I had experienced, right?
The impudence! The audacity! The unmitigated
Right.
gall!
I began my own personal healing journey when I went to college. And that was 1998 when I graduated from high school. So I would have been 17 going on 18 going to college, and I got my first therapist then. It was a shit show, but that's a different conversation about finding people who truly want to create space and help you, and versus them just having a motherfucking title and a job. Okay? But I began my journey early with trying to understand who I was and why I did some of the things I do. But in my 20s, after I tried the therapy stuff and it didn't work out, then I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to be out here in the world just doing me. But some of the moves I made, how I presented myself, I was so consumed with appearing as if I had it together. I remember being out here in these streets, going to the clubs, kicking it, and I was very consumed with my physical avatar. Like, what did I look like? Making sure the twins was sitting up right, making sure that my outfit was tight. And I was so consumed with my outer shell that I had become very disconnected from my true self. But I didn't recognize it, right? I was in my early 20s. I didn't know what the hell was going on and why I was showing up the way I was showing up. I was just simply showing up and moving through the space. But the reality of it is that I was operating from trauma and didn't even realize it and recognize it. The way I was moving, the decisions I was making, how I was showing up in my relationships. I remember in college, my nickname was Asshole. Like, I don't know if y'all remember this song. I can picture the man singing it in the video, but it was like, I'm an asshole, Leo, 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 ASSHOLE. I'm an asshole. Like, I'm an asshole, yo, 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 yo. I'm an asshole, yo. Like, that was my theme song in college. Like, I had a whole thing on my door, like my dorm door, and it was like all decorated, and it was like, I'm an asshole. It was so funny back then. Like, I wore that with like a badge of honor. I thought it was cool to be an asshole. To keep it 100, right? To be overly blunt and caustic. And I just thought that was, I'm just keeping it 100. Y'all just can't handle the truth. Y'all just can't handle me. That's a fucking you problem. Like, not realizing that there's a very thin line between keeping it 100 and just being an asshole, being a jackass, being a jerk. And I was all of the above. But I didn't realize that this was a defense mechanism that prevented me from making real connections with people. It prevented me from really allowing my shell to come off, for my guard to come down. Like, I was super defensive. You couldn't tell it because I hid it in barbed humor, right? I hid it in barbed humor. But yeah, I was not a nice person. Like, I say now, I'm not a nice person, but I was about to say I wasn't kind, but I was kind because I would do things for my friends. But it's weird. It was all tied up in, like, they probably didn't realize it, but internally in my head, I was keeping a ledger of things I've done for people. Like, oh, I did this for them. I did this for them. I'm such a good motherfucking person. None of these people deserve me. You know what I mean? None of these people deserve me. I am the best person they've ever met because I've done this, and this, and this. I'm always out here saving motherfuckers. Like, oh my God, people are just ridiculous. And not understanding that wasn't truly kindness. That wasn't being kind for real. You over here keeping a whole ledger of the shit you've done for people. And it was so pointless because I never threw it in anyone's face. I never really collected on what I did. There was no reciprocity because I didn't allow people to support me. I wanted to keep leverage, right? Oh man, as I'm having this conversation with y'all, it's like I wanted leverage. Like if I let you help me, then we're even. And who wants that? Like, no, I want to continue to keep this leverage over you by me being the one that can come in and save. And I'm over here as the savior, and I'm a head above. Ooh, shit. To say that out loud, yo. And for a long time, I had that. Like I'm really just coming out of that space of feeling as if me being kind gives me leverage by not allowing myself to be supported. Y'all, talk about a bad bitch broken. And then wonder why I'm struggling. I'm out here with a cape on, but not allowing myself to be saved. Lord have mercy. I had to sip some coffee on that one. But that's a journey I've been on for a long time. And when I invite other people to do is this journey of self-awareness, really getting to know yourself, because there's really nothing else worth the effort and the study. People who've been violated or who've been victims, sometimes they become their own perpetrators. They become perpetrators in their own story, different types of ways. And one of the ways I did that was by being manipulative. You know, by being emotionally manipulative or putting myself in a situation where I felt, shit, to be honest, better than. Ooh, and it hurts to say that out my mouth, but that's the truth. And not better than as in, you know, I got all this money and you're beneath me, but better than as in I don't need to be saved, but I can come save you. You know, look at how important I am. I can come save you. No, I don't need no help. Because then again, that would mean we're the same, and I don't want to be the same. And then what if I allow you to come support me and then you disappoint me like all these other motherfuckers in my life? So now we're not doing that. I'll just show up and be the savior, and I can create this image of myself in my head that I'm all of that. A bad bitch broken. And I kept this going for a long time. It wasn't until my like mid-30s where I started getting these epiphanies. You know, I was like, whew, it's a lot. Doing this self-awareness work it's a lot. You find out things about yourself, you're like, oh, ooh, is that me? Is that who I was? Is that who I am? And it's not to judge yourself because that's pointless. But the thing about it is that, you know, we don't have to judge our shadows. We don't have to judge ourselves. It's about understanding. Like, who was I and where was I and what was going on with me that I felt a need to show up that way, that I didn't allow myself to be supported, that I didn't allow myself to be seen, and how is that affecting me in my right now reality? Like, what is that doing to my relationships, to how I show up at work if I'm still in the, you know, in that field? How does it show up in my business? How does it show up in my bank account? How does it show up? And so shadow work isn't a negative, right? Shadows aren't negative. They're just meant to be understood. Where do they come from and why? And is this something I need to transmute? Is this something I need to transcend? Or is this something I need to integrate, right? And so this is all the things I've been learning as I get to know myself. And then the bad bitch that was broken, she ain't no, I mean, I don't consider myself a bad bitch. That's not a lexicon I use for myself, although I do get it. But she's not broken, right? She's still got some cracks. She's still got some cracks in the facade, and she's still patching herself up. But that broken 20-something-year-old that was operating from a space of unconscious trauma, because she didn't even recognize it. Like, I didn't realize I was a victim of, you know, and trigger warning, statutory rape until I was in my 30s. That's when I really recognized, like, damn, how old was I and how old was them? Oh, that's not kosher. That wasn't supposed to happen. And you were a victim. But for a long time, I felt like I was complicit in my abuse. I blame myself, and a lot of people do who are victims of abuse. We blame ourselves. And this is something I'm noticing just in the present, just not with me, but like some of the people that I have the pleasure of knowing, a lot of the things I see out here in these social media streets, and it's not just the bad bitches, right? These are humans in general, where we are showing up, and whether consciously or unconsciously, we're showing up through the lens of our trauma, or we're trying to show up and not, how do I want to put this? We're showing up as if that negates the trauma. It don't. People are typically operating in dual or multiple different energetic spaces. Yes, I'm going to show up as the coach, as the guide, as the boss, as the this, as the that. I want to show up as the authority, as the expert, and also I'm dealing with all of this. Whether or not it's current trauma, old trauma, combination trauma, complex PTSD is a thing. When I've gone through multiple things and it's constantly in the back of my, and I'm operating with all of this in the background and still attempting, or I actually doing it. It might not look the way people think it should or ought to look, but I'm still showing up. Like, is there space? Is there room for empathy for all of that, for the human experience, right? It is not effective, typically, to simply focus on one part of a person's lived experience while ignoring the other shit and expect success. If a kid comes to me and they're getting C's and D's in school, and we're working with them at school, like, okay, you need to do A, B, C, D. You can come to my office. We'll have conversations, this, that, and the other. Then you go home and you get your ass whooped every day, and you trying to make sure that your alcoholic daddy isn't, taking all the money out the house and then going to spend it at the bar and making sure that the lights are on and you still got something to eat, and you're responsible for all of it as a fucking 14-year-old. But then the expectation is that you come to school and you get A's and B's. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And there's a lack of empathy. Like, people get like, yeah, I know when they go home it's all effed up, but you still got to get A's and B's though. So like, I don't even know what to tell you. You're going to have to come in here and you're going to have to forget about all that. You're just going to have to come in and do the work. Like, for real? And I see the same thing in these different coaching spaces. I've heard from different people. I've seen it with my own two eyeballs that it's like, yeah, you might be going through all of that, but either, you stop doing this and you come back when you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you ain't ready to do this for real because you got all of that over there. So I'm going to need you to go fix that and then come back and then maybe we can do this. But in reality, a lot of us don't have the option of not trying to make money while also handling all of this. Just like kids don't have the option of not coming to school while they deal with that. Like, that's not reality. The reality is we're living life every day. All day. So it's a lot of bad bitches and ballin' bros and everything in between out here in these streets who are showing up, attempting to show up, wanting to show up, needing to show up, and they are dealing with all of this that is having an effect on their bottom line, on how they show up in their relationships, whether or not it's with their family members, whether or not it's with, co-workers, whether or not it's with their children. And it's having an effect. I was thinking like, well, how does that relate now? Like, am I still a bad bitch broken? I don't think so, only because I'm very honest and visible about my shit in the spaces that I've created to be honest and visible about my shit. Is it easy? Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And with that, my loves, I love y'all a lot. I will see y'all on the flip. In the meantime, peace out. Bye, y'all.